Welcome to the pre-dawn delight that is the African bush. I'm sitting just outside camp using my ears to try find lions. We've heard some roaring to the north and James is rushing on his way there. This is Safari Live.
Ready. Standing by.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You are live, you are live.
Welcome, my name is Brent and I have Eggsy or Zander on camera on this fine morning. We are live in the middle of the African bush and James is heading to where I heard some lions roaring probably about 10 minutes ago. And remember, we're live and interactive, so if you want to know how I know it was a lion, what noises am I listening for, pop us an email, questions@WildEarthTV, or use the hashtag Safari Live on Twitter. So the Nkuhuma Pride, which is our main pride of females, sort of gave us a bit of a runaround on the sunset safari yesterday. We found their tracks quite late in the center of Djuma, and the sun was setting, so I decided discretion is the better part of valor, and I didn't want to go poke around in some thickets at the time of the day where lions become the dominant predator. So James is headed off to where we heard that lion calling. I'm going to go back to where I had last tracks and see if I find any tracks in that area. Very exciting. The Pride currently has 8 wonderful little cubs, and they are just the most picture-perfect postcard lion cubs you could ever get. A really, really exciting drive ahead. Hopefully the big cats play along. But there's always lots of other creatures to look at. Elephants, buffaloes, zebra, wildebeest, and of course all the birds and smaller things. But we are ecstatic to have you on the live safari. And let me hand you over to my partner in crime on this sunrise safari, who wants to bid you a good morning.
I think it's a bit rough calling somebody a criminal at this time of the morning, but there it is. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this end of the Sunrise Safari. It's a joy to have you with us. That is the waterbuck. He's being particularly rude by not facing you this morning to say hello. Also over there, we have a Nyala bull, a mixed suite of bachelors waiting here for the sun to come up. Most relieved, no doubt, that they did not encounter lions or leopards or hyenas last night. And if they did, they managed to survive. Let me turn the light off the poor fellow. He hasn't realized he is now on the stage. My name is James Hendry, in case you're wondering, and on camera today is Brian Joubert, all 6'4" of him, and a pretty businesslike thumb, I suppose. There it is. Very nice, Brian. We are as live as Brent Leo Smith, so please do talk to us. Hashtag Safari Live or questions@WildEarth.TV. The hashtag is for Twitter. If you do not know how Twitter functions, this is not a problem. You may use the email. Do not try and phone us. Do not try and send us post. As I've said to you many times before, the South African Postal Service is about as efficient as a very inefficient thing. I'm going to ask Brian to try. No, I'm not. That was a little raptor, everybody, a little goshawk that just flew over the top of us. No doubt on the search, perhaps, for a grey-headed sparrow for his breakfast. Would you like grey-headed sparrow for breakfast, Brian?
I would love one.
Yum, yum. Okay. As Brent said, our plan is to head towards Buffelshoek Dam, where we've had some rather remarkable luck over the last few days with those little Nkuhuma cubs. Maybe we'll be lucky. Brent said he did hear some soft lion calling up around this area about, say, 20 minutes ago or so. So we'll see what that was. Maybe one of the leopards, Shiluva, who's been eating an Impala up north, will come across. These birds. Just listen to this. That is the Hardy-Dar ibis, everybody. The Hardy-Dar ibis has a very unpleasant voice, I find. It goes... We're hearing it this side. I'm not sure if you're hearing it your side. Okay, let's move on very slowly, and we'll head towards Buffelshoek Dam, see what we can come up with on the way. You are most welcome. It's good to have you with us, and I hope that you enjoy the next 3 hours in our company, as we are sure to do, Brian. Yes. Now, although the thumb is obviously dressed in a tie because he is a formal thumb, this is in fact our job. So it is my job to drive around this wilderness area to attempt to find beautiful animals and show them to you. This is quite a remarkable thing, that this is what I actually have to do in order to make myself live. When I think of my brother about to head off to Standard Bank of South Africa to work at the foreign money markets desk, or my sister going off to Jones Day Law Firm in the middle of London, I feel profoundly grateful for the fact that I do not have to do either of those things. Instead, here I am in the northeast corner of magnificent South Africa, checking out the lay of the land in the Kruger National Park. Not bad. Shamsun, good question from you. You have observed that only one of these vehicles has got a long lens on it. That's the one that Brent's on today. And you want to know how it is that we decide which vehicle and which camera we get. Well, basically, it's just a swap. So we, the presenters, if there are 3 of us on the ground, we work 2 drives on and 1 drive off. And so you swap out. So you'll drive Rusty for 2 drives, take your time off and do a walk, and then drive Wendy for 2 drives, and that's how it works. Now when there are 3 of us, at least there are just 2 of us, we swap every 3 drives so that we get, the cameramen don't get sick of us. You see, they get tired of us if they have to work with us all the time, don't you, Brian?
Yes,
yes,
very tired.
Very tired of us, exactly. And so... And so we'll swap every 3 drives, and the cameramen swap every 4 drives or so, and basically that's how it works. It's got nothing really to do with where we're going, but where we go does depend on which camera we have. So if we're going to Cheetah Plains, normally we'll try and take the long lens. That's on Rusty, because it means that we can look out over those plains without having to drive off-road. We can have decent sightings of those cheetah if they go into Mala Mala and that sort of thing. But very soon, Shamsun, we will have 2 of those long-lensed cameras, and then, well, there just won't be too much trouble anymore. The other thing is that the signal varies slightly on the 2 vehicles, so it's always a good idea to swap between them. Now, this is a roundabout where Brent thought he heard those lions going, oh, 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 oh. Probably not quite as rhythmically as that, but somewhere around here. Good morning, Justin. Lovely to hear from you. You say, which vehicle do I prefer driving? I think in terms of driving, well, Rusty's just had less abuse from us. So, although probably the same age as these recalcitrant old bags of Jigger and Wendy, are probably slightly more comfortable to drive, but it really makes so little difference, you know. I think for Brent it makes a difference. One of them is slightly bigger in the cockpit. I'm not sure which one. It makes absolutely no difference to me, because I'm only 3'4". Here are some Impala, a large herd of bachelors, accompanied by a herd of, I was going to say spinsters, but of course they aren't. They are all pregnant, the females, and they will shortly be showing quite strongly the little lambs growing within their bellies. Which is always, I think, a good idea just to consider that. The mammal method of reproduction, the fact that there is a small thing growing inside those females just blows my mind every time I think about it. Also, the inevitability of giving birth. I mean, obviously, I will never understand it because I'm not a lady. But for those of you who have children, I've always thought to myself how you don't really have a choice. Once you are pregnant and you're going to give birth, there is no choice. When that thing comes out, it's time for it to come out. And that must be quite a scary thing the first time round, I imagine. Don't you think, Brian?
Yeah, I do.
Quite relieved I don't have to do it myself. Yes. I don't suppose the Impala minds. She doesn't really know. She just gets on with it. Although I imagine there must be some fear when those first contractions start. Now this firebreak area got a nice flush of green grass over the last little while when we had quite, well, I think about 20 millimeters of rain actually in about a month ago. And so there's been a lot of action here. Now let's be quiet for the next 20 seconds and just listen. Yet another very quiet morning. Yeah, just one or two drongos going in the valleys, a few francolins in the distance. I think I can hear a waxbill or two going, sort of indistinct whistling. But otherwise, almost completely silent. Now, Brian, if you wouldn't mind showing us that a tree over there, a last flashing green tree, and that there is Peltophorum africanum, the weeping wattle. And what I'd like you to notice is that there are no leaves in browsing height of those impala. So rather like goats leave what we call a browse line, so will the impala. And they can't reach any of those. The only thing that will help them to reach those forage-rich, and there are good leaves to eat, the Peltophorum africanum leaves, the only thing that will help them to get to those leaves, of course, are elephants. And when we see elephants breaking trees, often people say, oh, but they're doing so much damage. Well, yes, they are, but they're also creating habitats and giving food to many of the other creatures in the area. And that bit of tree there, that's a knobthorn that's lying on the ground next to it. It is dead. It is no longer. And it is a habitat for hundreds of other little species. Poor little knobthorn, Brian.
Shame.
Shame. Alas. And you can see the impala grazing towards it because there's shade there, and therefore hello, Aqua. I'm laughing with your greeting, of course. Aloha, you say. Well, are you getting hold of us from Hawaii, perhaps? You say you've just noticed this swathe of dry, sort of leafless trees, and you say, is this the function of the season or a function of the fact that we're in a drought? It's largely the season. We are having a bit of a drought, or we did have a bit of a drought last year, which means that our winter season has been drier than it is normally. But all of those leafless trees are simply a function of the winter. And if you watch in June and July, you see that although that is midwinter, most of the trees still have some leaves on them. And it's only now, as we head towards the spring, that it starts to take on this grey-gold colour. So that's completely normal. There were one or two evergreen trees and a few semi-deciduous trees like this Peltophorum tree. It will lose all of its leaves eventually, but the rest will lose their leaves, and then come the end of September, around then, they'll start to get their new leaves. The knobthorns are already starting to flower as we head towards the spring. I want to show you one other thing from here, and then we're going to move on. Brian, if you look down through the gap between these two big trees, you can see the lights there. You see them?
No.
Just keep going there. There you go. You got them there. Go to the right a little.
Oh, you want those lights?
Those lights.
Uh-huh.
Now, everybody, you see the light twinkling through the trees there? That is where Kevin says, it's at the pan, basically. That's where Kevin says there's some birds drinking. I'm not sure what the rest of his comment was. I'll get it for you now. But that's where the final control is. Oh, you say based on the lack of sound last night, do I think it's going to be a dead drive tonight? No, this afternoon, this morning, a.m. No, I don't think that means it's going to be a dead drive at all, Kevin. I think it just means that there was nothing within sort of earshot of the microphones around the camera. So normally I don't think there's any correlation at all between what's heard at the damn camera and what we see in the morning. Okay, let's go across to Brent, get an update from him. There is quite a lot of cloud building to the south, so maybe we'll get a bit of drizzle. Brent, I think, is headed further south. Let's find out from him what he thinks of the weather.
This is the area where those lion tracks disappeared into on the sunset safari. So I'm just checking to the south of the block. When I say a block, it refers to a patch of bush between roads, making sure that they didn't sneak out to the south. I think they've gone north, but we want to make doubly sure they haven't crossed. And there is some quite ominous cloud building to the south. Hopefully the drizzle stays away while we're out on the sunrise safari. But if it's a little bit of drizzle, don't worry, we'll stick it out, see what we can find. So I'm just making triply sure no lion tracks here. Now if they're not, we're going to start moving slowly towards where James is, looking for any sign of lions. Brock, welcome on the sunrise safari, Brock. Brock's wondering, how did the Styx Pride get its name? Was it named after the classic rock band? Unfortunately, although it would be very cool, it wasn't. It was named. They were named after the river Styx, the entry into Hades or the underworld. And there used to be a very big pride, and they used to send many animals down the river Styx. I think that's how they got their name, but it was a very long time ago, probably over 15, 20 years ago. When I used to see the Styx Pride, when they used to be further to the south, around the Sand River, there were about 13 adult females. And obviously, with all these lion prides, they go through ups and downs, times of aplenty, times of not so much plenty. Well, we're looking for the Nkuhuma pride, which is obviously the pride of lions we see the most on Djuma. And Greg is wondering, with 8 cubs to feed, are they going to make more kills, or will they try and make multiple kills at the same time? Well, lions always try and make multiple kills at the same time. It doesn't quite work out for them most of the time. But yes, they will be hunting more frequently with 8 cubs to feed, and especially as those cubs get older. When they're about 6 months old, they're going to be eating nearly as much as the adults. So the ladies are going to have to be busy. Okay, so no tracks coming out. So as my initial feeling was, they've probably gone north or northwest, but we just wanted to make sure that they hadn't crossed out of here. Now, one of the most interesting things in the bush, and it probably steads you well in other life as well, is that old saying, you've got 2 ears, 1 mouth. Now, if you think about it, you don't actually realize how dependent you become on your ears when you live in the bush, for finding animals, for keeping safe on foot. So your ears play an incredibly important part about what you're doing. And as I said, when it was still dark this morning, Xander and I just switched off on quarantine and we listened. Because your ears will often find animals for you long before your eyes can. Your ears get you in the right area, and then your eyes do the end of the job. Your mouth plays very little part. But it is very interesting. I was thinking about it this morning as I was sitting in the dark, listening for lions, about how completely dependent we are on our ears when we're in the bush. Speaking of that, we're coming up to the junction with Central Road. Those lions were definitely in this block last night. But the other thing is, they could have left the cubs and gone out hunting. So it's going to be interesting to see if we do find any tracks. Are they going to be tracks of the lionesses, or is it going to be tracks of the lioness and cubs? It's always really exciting for me in the early morning when we get to see what's been cracking while we've been in bed, who's been where, what's been up to what. And it is one of the more exciting parts about being in the bush constantly and trying to figure out the early morning newspaper crossword puzzle. Now, talking about ears, wherever we get the chance, I'll switch off the engine and freewheel down a hill. Now, there's still lots of little ambient noises from the vehicle, but you've just got that slightly better chance of being able to hear an alarm call or a low contact call of the lions. And I found the Nkuhumas quite a lot in the last little while. Of course, then you get rude arrow-marked babblers. You make sure I can't hear any lion or leopard. Very aptly named birds. The arrow-marked babbler. And you can hear them babbling away in that fallen knobthorn. Here we go. So I was saying, we found the Nkuhuma pride quite frequently with low contact calls between the females recently. You can even see the arrows on his chest. Yep, off he goes. You guys finished? Can I go now? You're not going to make a noise? So this low contact call, which is one of my favorite sounds to hear when I'm in the bush, it's just this, and it's the lionesses, if they've been separated during a hunt or separated looking after their cubs, it's how they find each other. A very good morning to Michael. Michael says he watched a documentary about a merged pride on Singita, and they got incredibly large. And I think, do I know the pride? And if I do I know why they got so big? Yes, I do know that pride very well, Michael. I've actually spent much time with them on foot and in the vehicle, but a very long time ago, over 14 years ago or so. So there are multiple Singitas. There's Singita Sabi Sands, and those lions were not in the Sabi Sands, they were in Singita Kruger National Park, which is a 15,500 hectare concession on the eastern side of Kruger. Now, I think in the documentary they called them the Mega Pride. That was not their name. We called them the Mountain Pride. They spent quite a lot of time hunting in the Lubombo Mountains, and the reason they got so big, that eastern sector of the Kruger National Park is got one of the highest lion densities in the world. So you've got the Lubombo Mountains, and running off those Lubombo Mountains, you've got these wide open flat basalt plains made up mostly of thermida grass and the odd marula and the odd knobthorn tree. It is an incredibly high animal density area. So you get masses of wildebeest and zebra and buffalo on those short grass plains. Now, where you've got a lot of prey, you've got a lot of lions or a lot of predators. So the fact that there's so much zebra and impala and wildebeest and buffalo in that area is the reason that pride got so big. The biggest I ever saw that pride at, and it was 43 different lions in that pride. And one of their favorite things to hunt, strange enough, was giraffe. And what they do, they would chase, and there's a lot of giraffe. The biggest herd of giraffe I've seen in that area is 60 odd. What they would do is chase giraffe up to the lower part of the Lubombo Mountains where it got steep, and the giraffe used to battle to run fast up the hill and then fall down, and the pride would jump on them. But they are a fantastic pride. That area of Kruger, Sweni, Satara, Wanetsi, Lubombo, has a lot of really big prides. It's not uncommon to have prides over 20, 30 in that area, just due to the high animal density. But we're going to keep checking for these lions now. It seems like we are listening to birds and looking for lions, but we're not seeing many mammals. But James has found you another mammal.
Hello everybody. We've got these Nyala. I'm just sounding a little bit confused because we've got kudu, I think, alarm calling to the south of us, long way to the south. Let's just listen. There. But long way to the south. No. I'm just going to call Brent quickly. Brent, what's your position? I'm looking for Brent. Brent, do you copy? Brent, there's some alarm calls. Sounds like kudu. I think probably around Twin Dams area, maybe onto Leadwood. So Brent's going to go down there. So let's just enjoy these Nyala for a few minutes and we'll just listen to what's going on. So we've got there one bull, obviously, and he's been substantially more successful than his colleague that we found earlier this morning. To the left of him, of course, his girlfriends and his wives. Now, while you look at them, just let me explain exactly what I meant there. What I heard was an alarm call, which is a kudu, that makes a barking sound, but it was very far away, and it's difficult to pinpoint. As Brent was saying, your ears are so important out here, also your nose, but your ears also. And that low-frequency alarm bark that they make travels through the thick bush. They like to live in thick bush because they browse, and so all of the Nyala and the bushbuck and the kudu have got this low-frequency alarm bark, and the further away it is, obviously, the more difficult it is to pinpoint. But definitely some shouting kudus way in the south. Yeah, they're still going. You know what? We're going to carry on going. And now Aubrey's got calls at Gowrie Dam, which is just around the corner here. I'm just going to ask Aubrey. Oh, it's hyenas at the dam cam, everybody. I think we should go and have a look. We're about 2 minutes from there. And let me just quickly call that in. Station 0, hyena at the dam camera. So we're going to head there. That might be what the alarms are. Right, we're only 1 minute from there. So let's go and have a look at the hyenas. I haven't seen a hyena for so long. So we'll ask the Zoomy to stay on it. Please, Mr. Zoomy, whoever you are at the moment, please try and stay on the hyenas. We are only 1 minute away now. Oh, there we go. There's a lion sighting now on Drakensberg. So Brent is on his way there, everybody. Good news is that the Nkuhuma pride seems to have been found. So Brent will go there. I will try and find these hyenas. And the morning has turned out magnificently. Apparently the hyena is running this direction. Let's go around here. And apparently moving in this direction towards us now. So we're kind of back where we started. We've done a loop around here. And apparently the camera can no longer see the hyena, which is a little irksome. The monkeys are still alarming. I think that's why that hyena was running. I think there's something else going on here. Let's keep an eye out. And let's just listen. Just listen and see if you can hear the hyenas. Not the hyenas, the monkeys. There. You hear that? Cow. Cow. They wouldn't alarm call at a hyena like that, everyone. I think there's a leopard around here somewhere. Eyes open. There's some Franklin's alarm calling as well. Might be a lion. The monkeys would alarm call at a lion. We'll check the roads for tracks. These drainage line areas, very good for predators to come through. It's just unlikely monkeys would shout at a hyena because they know hyenas can't climb trees. Much too slow. Well, they just don't have the claws for it. Let's listen again here. There. Oh, and there's also, you know what else I can hear? I can hear the dogs. There are two dogs owned by the general manager, Candace and Mike. Their dogs, I just heard them going, oh, oh. They're not allowed to bark, and they only kind of attempt to bark when they see something, which means it's probably around the corner there. Hold on, everybody. This is a nasty piece of road. We'll go down past towards the Gallagher waterhole, which is not far from where we are now. That's in front of Gallagher camp. So there are two camps at Djuma. Vuyatela is one of them, Gallagher the other. They're all in this little valley here, just in front of the Djuma camera, in front of the Djuma dam. And if you come and stay here, that's where you can stay. Right in the thick of things, there is a vast vulture. There's the hyena. The hyena went running through there. I think it was a hyena. It was, hey. So we can't go off-road after it, I'm afraid. Let's just keep sitting and listening here, and there's a vulture there. That's normal. That doesn't mean anything. The vultures have to spend the night somewhere. If there were 30 of them sitting in that tree, well, then it might be a sign that there was death and mayhem nearby. But the fact that there's one doesn't necessarily indicate that. But where's that hyena going? That's also another good question. The monkeys have now stopped alarming. I'm going to suggest that I think it's a good idea to go around towards quarantine clearings and see. Let's just watch it go. It's a white-backed vulture, everybody. And some blue waxbills that Brian has found. That's wonderful. Look at them. And all the while we're looking for the big predators, these spectacular little things of unbelievable colour hop around and get on with their little lives. Oh, it's so sweet. Oh, that's wonderful. Okay, let's go round. We're going to go back sort of towards quarantine clearings. Right, let's have a look. Aubrey is now just getting mobile from Gallagher. Orbs, I'm coming down towards the Gallagher waterhole now. I did hear Mike and Candace's dogs giving a bit of a bark, so I don't know if quarantine might also be a good idea. So Aubrey's basically coming around from the other side there. Isn't that lovely having that little bird remind us that it's not all about the big and hairies and the things that make monkeys go ha in the night. Keep your eyes open, everybody. Andrew, you ask how long do monkeys alarm call for? It really does depend on what they see and how long they can see it for, so it's difficult to say. The real good question, I think, about monkey alarm calls is at what distance will they stop alarm calling? Now, if there's a leopard or a lion walking right underneath their tree, then they will go ballistic. But as it moves further away, so they will stop calling. And they've got exceptional eyesight, and if they see a leopard, they will call at it probably from about 300 meters. Now that's almost 1,000 feet. Right, let's go around here. Can't see anything here at the moment. Of course, monkeys will see things that you and I will take years to see. They've got an amazing sense of sight. I wonder if something didn't pop out these drainage systems, maybe Mvula. I don't think Karula would have left her kill from yesterday. For those of you who weren't watching yesterday, Karula on a kill in Arathusa with the 2 cubs. I don't think she would have finished and come through here. I'm just going to turn here so that Brian can show you a picture of this unbelievable sun. Can you see how the lights changed, everyone? Look at that. Isn't that lovely? Let's just have another listen while we look at the sun. Monkey's still calling. Alright, we're going to sit here with the sunrise for a little bit longer, listening and maybe hoping to find whatever it is has made them angry. In the meantime, Brent Leo Smith has arrived in the Far East, and he has a very special morning treat for you.
Well, we're with the Nkuhuma Pride, and there we go. It looks like only 4 lionesses and 5 cubs. So the single lioness who's got the 3 youngest cubs is not here at the moment, but they have been joined as well by a single Birmingham boy. It looks like the one who's nicknamed the Hoff, after, of course, David Hasselhoff and his magnificent hair. There he is. He's watching the lionesses as they move off, and we're going to try keep up with them. Morning, Debbie in Vancouver. Debbie is wondering, how big a territory do the Birmingham Lions hold? Are their territories fixed, or do they change? Oh, look at that. It's just watching the wheels. Now that's a very lion cub thing to do, as wheels go round and round. They get very, very excited by them. And their heads will sometimes go in circles. Hey, little one. Oh, too precious. Oh, it looks like stalking one of the adults. No, got spotted. No. There we go. Flat to the ground, ready for attack. There's that wonderful low contact call I was talking about earlier. Sorry, Debbie. Back to your question. I got sidetracked by the cuteness of a cub. The Birmingham boys hold a territory of around probably just over 10,000 hectares, which is over 20,000 acres. Now, lion territories do change from time to time, but they're generally reasonably well set, with a little bit of overlap in all sorts of directions. So that pride's keeping on going, so we're going to do the same. Now, some of the lionesses look like they've fed quite nicely recently, while others look a little bit hungrier. So what that leads me to believe is that they've caught something smallish, Ooh, there are lots of lion landmines around. I can smell them, and it's probably one of the worst things in the world if you drive over a lion landmine. You are stuck with that smell for the rest of the day. There we go. We've caught up with the lionesses and the cubs as they move through the bush. What I'm just going to get us into a position where we can see nicely, because the cubs are going to be quite playful in this early morning. There you go. Lots of running about. Oh, look at that. That's spectacular. Now, all this playing is going to be a practice and honing those hunting instincts. Boom, tackle. And welcome to Yasmin Inn, the city that never sleeps, Las Vegas. Yasmin says, I told them what the Styx pride means. What does the Nkuhuma pride mean? Well, Nkuhuma is the Shangaan name for a brown ivory tree. And I think, I'm not 100% sure how long the Nkuhuma is. What's that on that one's back? Doesn't look, it looks like it's got something sticky, probably smelly on its back, the one on the ground. What is that? Oh, sorry, again, I get sidetracked by the cuteness of cubs. And I'm going to try to keep up with them. So the Nkuhuma is named after one of my favorite trees, the brown ivory tree. And the first time they were found by the Djuma guides, I think probably over 10 years ago, I'm not 100% sure on that. They were, landmines, I can smell them. Have I already made the faux pas of hitting a landmine? But, so Jasmine, it was after the tree they were first seen under. Oh, there's lots of playing going on down there with the adults. They're just too sweet. So, sorry about that, Jasmine. I keep getting... Oof. Look at that! Tasha Michelle is wondering, are the dads playing with the cubs yet? Possibly. I haven't seen any good interaction between the males and the little onesie just yet, but I'm sure it will come. The males will be quite tolerant of cubs on a kill, but not nearly as tolerant as the females when it comes to sort of playing. Now, they are going to go through a little river system that Eggsy and I know quite well. We got stuck in it 3 days ago following them. Oh, there's still a cub right next to us. He's hiding on the termite mound. Oh, there you go. There he is. Left behind, nearly. We're going to keep up with them, but I'm going to need to do some quite serious concentration to get through this little drainage line ahead. So what we're going to do is we're going to see if James has had any luck to finding what the monkeys are shouting at, and we'll have you back in a few ticks.
Hi again, everybody. I saw Aubrey around the corner there with the water hole. He reckoned those monkeys were probably going at the hyena. I'm not convinced, simply because the dogs also had a go. Anyway, we've come around here. We haven't spotted anything else. So we'll go up. Whatever it was could have come up through here. Just keep an eye on the dam cam. It could easily go down and have a drink there. But the monkeys have stopped calling now. The dogs are not reacting at all. So I don't really know. Anyway, we've got one massive predator sighting going, so that's okay. And we'll go and see what else we can find now. We'll head towards the north. And then, Brian, when you were all the way to the north, you have only one option, don't you?
Yes.
Yes, what is that?
Go south.
Exactly. Ellen Fowler, thank you for that. I did not hear this. Apparently the Anderson male was with Karula and her cubs yesterday. That is absolutely fascinating stuff. It might well be worth us heading that way and just seeing if we can't get a look in at the Karula sighting. So what we'll do is we'll head to the north and then head west. Ellen, thank you very much for that update. We did not hear that. Now that would be very interesting because, of course, we don't think the Anderson male is the father of those two cubs, but she could be. He could be. And Sandra, you're wondering about black leopards or melanistic leopards and whether we've seen them here. We haven't. They wouldn't be ideally adapted for this area. I'm pretty sure that the genetics for them do exist in the wild populations here, but it's unlikely that they would exist here because I don't think it would be more successful than the normal coloured leopards that we get here. So further north you go into Central Africa, where there are rainforests, much like the forests of India, for example. Then you are more likely to find melanistic leopards, black leopards. They would occur in a place like that because it's darker and the shadows hide them better than the dappled light that you get in the woodland areas we have here. So no, unlikely that we'd see a black leopard. One never says impossible out here, but it is very unlikely. In South Africa there have been one or two seen, apparently up around Lydenburg, quite interestingly. I'm just going to get hold of Herbert, he's calling me. Go ahead. Hukumeni? Okay, Nat.Geo. Confirm. Ingwe kumbe ingala. Ah, okay. Okay, copy. All right, everyone. We've got some elephants just around the corner. We'll go and have a look at them quickly. Herbert managed to find them, and then we'll head over to the Nkuhumas with Brent before we go to the elephants. So we'll see you at the elephants shortly.
So we've managed to get through that little river system. The lions are actually moving slowly towards us. So we're just sitting here and letting them come up to us with those incredible Nkuhuma cubs. And we can hear them. Incredible vocalizations these little guys make. Or we're being stalked. So hopefully you're getting some incredible screenshots. This little lion's all by coming right up to us. Making lots of noise as well. You hear that clickety click? It's just me taking a few photos. Look at this. This lioness is literally a foot from Zander at the moment. No sudden movement, Zander. Is your heart beating a bit fast? We are so lucky to have lions like the Nkuhumas who we spend so much time with. They literally have almost zero reaction to us while we're around them. Now, I wonder if that Birmingham boy is still sleeping up there, or did he decide to follow the pride? We can't see him at the moment. Now this little guy is keeping a very firm eye on Zander. Now they've settled, and it's incredible. So we've got those over there. And there we go. Looks like the next lioness might come towards us. But that lioness that passed a foot from Zander has decided to sleep on the other side of us. So we're literally surrounded by lions at the moment. And where else would we rather be than surrounded by the Nkuhumas and their precious cubs? And old Nick is wondering, when are the cubs sort of out of danger from hyenas? Probably have to get over a year old to be fully safe. Oh, yes. Here they come. I'm keeping quiet so you can listen to the noises they make. Oh, there's the big lioness. So she's no more than about 2 feet from Zander at the moment. That funny thing on it, actually it looks like he's been defecated on. So we've got 4 cubs and a lioness, all within about 3 feet, 4 feet of us. We literally have lions lying to both sides of us. We've got the cubs right next to us. So we're in it for the long haul. Now, good morning to Larry in California. And Larry is wondering, at what age will a lion be strong enough to take on a hyena? Now, the cubs have seen the tires, and I love lion cubs because as soon as they see a car tire moving, they're completely fixated on it. Oh, here we go. Here comes another one of the moms. She's going to go lie right next to Zander. Zander, they seem to like you. Okay, yeah, we're definitely not moving anytime soon. We've got 2 lionesses to the right of us with 4 cubs. The 5th cub I did see around somewhere. Oh, here, hello. Look at this, they're coming right up to us now. And X-Ranger, you are spot on. No need for super zoom when the lions are near 2 feet from you. But, well, we're going to keep sitting here, not that we have any choices about where we sit, because the lions are so close to us. Let's go to James, who's got another member of Africa's Big Five.
Elephants, everybody, as Herbert found them. They're just feeding along. Remember I said to you earlier that the Impala were feeding along the firebreak area? Well, that's what these elephants are doing. This is a cow of about, I'd say, about 22 or 3 years old. And what she's doing is devouring a balanites or torchwood tree. But she's only about, what, Brian, 10 meters from us, if that?
Not even.
Not even 10 meters. That's about 30 feet. And she's very, very comfortable there. She turned to face us as we arrived, and now she seems to be completely comfortable with our presence, which is just great. Isn't that nice? Wonderful that we have the lions again. I have tried to get hold of Arathusa, just in case you're wondering about Karula and the Anderson male, because of course one would expect there to be some kind of danger for those cubs if a strange male was to be around. But I've heard nothing, I'm afraid. So let's just enjoy the peace, amazing dawn peace of these elephants. Look at her climbing over this tree. Do you want to go back a bit forward a bit, Brian? We're okay. Now, I've always found it quite interesting, and I find it even more interesting as the more I study these animals, how the cows, if they do pay you attention, it's almost certainly to say to you, you're close enough, go away from me, I don't want you to come any closer. They do not, or hardly ever, show any kind of the same curiosity that the bulls do. And just before I carry on with that, just appreciate the thorns that cow is putting into her mouth and just chewing. Those thorns would go through the tires that are on this car, and yet she's just kind of chewing them. Oh, that is just wonderful. Now there are a whole lot of them feeding along here. Let's just go up and around the corner quickly. And as I was saying, the cows make no kind of, they make no attempt at curiosity where the bulls really do. Speaking of curiosity, those cubs are up and playing. Let's go and have a look.
Well, there is a little lion cub proving to be very curious and chewing upon a baboon's tail. Attacking it is probably a better description. Now, it's so enthralled with that baboon's tail that the rest of the pride have nearly left it behind. Oh, heads up. Where'd all the girls go? There they are. There's 2 cubs. Oh, scamper, scamper. Okay, we're going to move around. Hi, Arita's Fox. Arita's wondering, have we ever seen lion cubs get left behind by accident? Never really on accident. When they're left behind, they're normally left behind on purpose because the females are going to be concentrating on hunting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to utilize the road to get up ahead of them. We're going to stop and let them walk up to us again like that. Wasn't that incredible? Xander, is that the closest you've been to a lion? Yes, there we go. Awesome. Just seeing where they're moving. I think this will be our entry point. I think they're going to walk straight through here. I can see them up ahead. Here they come. Sorry, I'm just trying to get us into a good spot. Give ourselves some options. Here they come. Walking straight towards us again. It looks like we have chosen a great spot to wait. And you're going to see now, I'm going to be almost able to touch her as she goes past. Isn't this amazing? Xander, don't move. Just keep still. So if you look next to you, she's smelling our tyre. I think I must have driven over a landmine, and that's what she's smelling. So her head is actually almost on the tyre. You can move very slowly if you just move the camera around, but don't move your body. So she's smelling our tyre. And you'll see now, there she is. So I just keep you can move the camera, just keep your body very still when she's that close. I think I must have driven over some lion dung, and that's what she was sniffing, but she was very, very close. How's that heart rate, Xander?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Oh, and she's still looking at our tyres quite. Hello, big girl. So, Xander's just moving very slowly. There we go. She's moved off a bit. So when the animals are that close, you don't want to move too quickly. It could give them a fright. So it's very important to not react or overreact. Is probably a better description. We're going to have to move again. When stuff like that happens, it is very, very cool. But of course, we want to keep these lions as relaxed as they are around our vehicles. So a bit of a quick movement, more than likely, will just give her a fright. And so it's a negative reaction. So that's why I was just telling Xander, just keep very, very still. And you can see she moved on. She smelt what she needed to smell. And then off she went. So they're going through this terrible monkey orange thicket. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to head back to the road and then zoot around again to head of them, like we've just done. Oh, quickly, the lionesses are playing. Oh, there they go. Okay, they're going to disappear into that monkey orange thicket. We're going to go see what Commander Bond's up to while we get ahead of the lions again.
Hi everybody. We left the elephants because they went into some thick bushes, and I just found some twacks of something, and I believe these twacks to be the twacks of Mvula, the male leopard. Let's drive down the road. So there were some footprints here indicating that somebody may have looked at them before. I think Herbert might have looked at these tracks yesterday. Actually, they don't look very fresh. Yeah, Okay, we're just going to carry on. We might be lucky if we'll spot him. Marvellous that you have those lions. I've got to tell you, those lion cubs are becoming increasingly, obviously, curious about the vehicles, and so their mothers and aunts will do the same. I don't know. I can never quite get used to having a lion look up from 3 feet away into my eyes. It's an amazing feeling. It's a good thing not to get used to. It's continuously astounding. You get a real appreciation for their size then. Hello, Canada Keith. You've asked about my emotions. Well, Canada Keith, of course, it's not always easy to share one's emotions. Canada Keith, you say, was there a sighting that I've had that has affected me emotionally perhaps more than met the eye at first? I think there are lots, Canada Keith, lots and lots of them. But it's funny, for different reasons. So, sightings that remind me of my childhood always just give me a little bit of a sting that sometimes make me eyes water a little bit. But those can be particularly average for people who don't have the same memories. It can be a tree, it can be a smell. It can be an animal sitting in a position that I remember seeing when I was a kid or something like that. Then you get these sightings that do touch you, and it's normally, for me, elephant sightings, where there is some kind of communication, where an elephant, for some reason, seems to pick up on the emotional state of the people that are watching them, especially if you are, I don't know if it's for everyone or if it's just for certain people, I'm not sure. But certainly for me, if an elephant sighting is normally going to pull out whatever underlying emotions there are, they're going to pull out. There go the dogs and the kids to school. That's Candace and Mike driving out of here. We won't follow the road they've followed. We're going to go down towards the west. So, Canada Keith, I can imagine, when we do these shows, of course, our emotional state we have to keep in check to a certain extent, because we can't hang out our dirty laundry. You might, for example, have a fight with your family, you might have a fight with your girlfriend or something like that, and then you come on drive, and that's got to go away. You can't bring that out. You can't take that with you on drive and explain it to all the viewers, because, well, frankly, they don't care. And look at this amazing hornbill sighting. Just sitting so close by on that stump. So, Canada Keith, when you go on drive in a state like that, when you're not feeling perhaps the top of your game, it is incredible to me how often the elephants pick that up. And I've had experiences where you'll be watching elephants and you'll be feeling sad or emotional about something, and the elephants pick, I don't know how they do it, but they seem to pick up on it and they pull it out of you. And then you get it kind of you're either getting a welling of sadness or you'll get a welling of, I've often had wellings of tears that I've managed to sort of keep under control most of the time. Elephants definitely do that to you. So I can't think of anything specific, but I can think of a number of times where elephants have definitely done that to me. There's another yellow-billed hornbill. They don't tend to pull out too much tears in me. You, Brian?
No.
Have you ever cried for a hornbill?
No.
I don't think I have. Alrighty, on we go. I still can't get any comms from Arathusa, and as Rebecca says to me now into my ear, she says, sadness is not the only emotion, you can always be happy. She's right, of course. I think the reason I mention the sadness is that they don't The happiness is kind of, I think it's much more common out here than the sadness, and so when you spend time around those lion cubs like we did yesterday, or the elephants, again the elephants, or the leopards, or any of the animals, and the incredible scenery here, you know, happiness is kind of a default position, which is rather a good thing to say about where you have to work. Thank you, Rebecca, Dr. Phil Christensen. There is an impala. Let us stop and view these impala. Dr. Phil apparently has a question about them. And there we are. Hello Rachel, all the way from Israel. It's very, very nice to hear from you from Israel. I hope it's a pleasant day there. I imagine it's probably quite hot, given that you're in the middle of the summer there. Well, I suppose you're heading towards the end of it now. You say, will the impala rams' bodies change during the course of the second rut? Now Rachel, I know you know what that means, but for some perhaps it's a little bit unclear. During September and August, there is a second rut for the impala, which means that the females who were not mated in May will often come into estrus, and that creates a kind of second rutting behavior in the males, and they have a bit of a fight with each other. And you want to know, Rachel, does it bring about the secondary sexual characteristics, and the neck thickening, the testicles dropping, and that sort of thing? Rachel, it does, but probably to a much smaller extent than it does in May. Testosterone, which is the hormone that causes male secondary sexual characteristics, for example, in human beings, hairy armpits, hairy chests, and in my case, a hairy back, what it does for all of the animals out here is create whatever, you know, secondary sexual characteristics they have. So the males will get a neck thickening, they'll become more aggressive, their testicles will drop slightly. So while not quite the same as the May version, it will certainly happen during this time of the year as well. None of those males, however, they're much too young, are going to have that effect. Let us continue. Hello Vicky from Chicago. I hope it's not too windy in Chicago today. You say, how long until the impala give birth? Well, the impala will give birth 6.5 months or so after they have mated. And so the impala that were mated in May will give birth at the end of November, sort of beginning to end of November, depending on when in May they were mated. And so these chaps will give birth in February if they are impregnated now. Always hated the term get pregnant. If they are impregnated, if they fall pregnant, I suppose, is the better term. I've never understood how you can get pregnant. Hello, Jeremy. Good question from you. And I think the answer will become clear, well, I hope it will, as I describe what I'm going to. You say, how is it that despite the fact that everything likes to eat impala, from jackals to baboons to snakes to cheetahs to lions to leopards to wild dogs to hyenas and everything else in between, why is it that they still manage to be so numerous? The answer, Jeremy, lies in the fact that you are only watching a safari in an area like this. They're not as common as this in East Africa, for example, where the wildebeest far outnumber the impala. And therein lies the rub, as it were. Here, there is water. There is always water in the Sabi Sand and in the Kruger Park. People have pumped water in this area for years and years. That is the impala's limiting factor, or limiting nutrient. They must have water. They cannot migrate to water. So as long as you have water in an area, their strategy of mixed feeding, where they can browse and graze, unlike most other animals, they can do just as successfully either. Some will do bits and pieces of both, but none of them can do it with the same success as an impala can. So that's one of the elements, and then the other element is this incredible timing of the births. Most of the other herbivores, of course, are seasonal breeders, but the impala are so specifically timed that they flood the market with little ones. And 50% of them won't make it through their first year, but those other 50% will make it probably on to breeding. So it's a very successful strategy. But the main thing, there's a big elephant as opposed to a small elephant, Brian. The main thing, Jeremy, is that they do not move to water. And if you provide water for them, they will outcompete everything else. Good question. Thank you very much for that. A beautiful question here from some fellow called Fuzzman Sparkles. Brian, a contender for the best Twitter handle, perhaps. Fuzzman Sparkles. Fuzzman Sparkles, you want to know what the second most common antelope in this area is? Well, good question. I think probably Nyala. I would say they're probably the second most common antelope by number. That said, I would say the most widely distributed antelope in this area, so the one that you'll find just about absolutely everywhere, duiker and steenbok. You find them, slightly different habitats. Any open area you're going to find a steenbok. Any slightly closed bit of woodland you're going to find a pair of duiker. So they are very widely distributed. I'd say by number, though, there are quite a few Nyala around here. Kudu not too bad either. Far fewer wildebeest, far fewer waterbuck. Now, what these chaps are eating, the Combretum calinum. And Rebecca wants to know what kind of emotion I'm feeling now. Now, of course, as with many men, as soon as women start asking you how you feel, Brian, what emotion do you feel? You start to get irritated, don't you? You start to feel, you say, nothing. I'm fine.
Nothing.
I'm fine, Rebecca.
I'm also fine.
I'll try and give you a sense of what I am feeling, though, because I'm so open with my emotions, aren't I, Brian?
Yes.
Yes. Yes. And pay no attention to him. These elephants I don't feel having too much of a word with us. I don't think they're paying us too much attention, so I'm not getting too much of a vibe from them, to be honest. I think they're just two young bulls concentrating on their meal. So I suppose I do feel the sensation of hunger watching them eat, but I'm not feeling any great emotion at this stage. I was told when I first started this show that I possibly needed to cry online while I was live in order to show that I am not a complete wall without emotion. I haven't succeeded at that yet. Maybe Brian will hit me very hard before we go live next time and I shall be in tears. He looks a little insulted now that I've said he isn't making me feel emotions. So two young bulls just making their way in the world. There is no adult bull around them, or no big bull. These chaps are probably between 18 and 16 years. All right, we're going to carry on now. We're quite close to the Arathusa boundary. Let's head across there, find out what's going on with Karula. I will keep you posted, but in the meantime, Brent Leo Smith is with the Cubbies.
So they've led us to an uncrossable drainage line for us. So Andrew's rushing around. Xander, don't get a fight, but there's another line behind you about to pop up, but just keep looking at the Cubs. Look at them, they're just the best when they're playing. So they did quite a bit of smelling around this area. This is actually one of the other female who's got the three little cubs. Watch. You can hear him coming. It's just spectacular. Now the male is somewhere behind us, apparently still following as well. Look at us playing with the cubs. So being a lion, the 4x4 is a bit better than ours even. So we'll stay with them while we can from here, but I'm going to have to find somewhere to get across this river system. Well, hopefully they lie down for a bit there. Oh, bless you. Now, Lauren's wondering, do the female cubs stay with the pride? Indeed they do, Lauren. The male cubs will disperse at about 3 years old, but the female cubs will stay with the pride. Oh, look at that. It's posing. Are we going to attack sibling? Or are we just going to walk past? We're going to walk past. Maybe attack other sibling. Sibling or cousin? Just too cute. I'm just trying to listen to see where the male is. Now, James Richard is asking a very interesting question, and I'm not going to delve too deep into it. And he says, do I find it difficult to watch documentaries, especially about lion prides or leopards that I know personally well, and the information might not be what I know is true or what is perceived to be true. Generally, James, you'll find it's very difficult for all of us to watch wildlife documentaries, whether we know the animals or not, just because of spending so much time out there. And well, they do need to build a story, and that's the wonderful thing about being live. And it it is what it is. You can't make anything up. What you see is what you see. Okay, I'm going to move quickly to see if I can try to get into a better position for these little guys. And I'm just checking over my shoulder. I know the male is coming, but he's probably moving quite slowly. Let's see if we can sneak out of here. So we're just going to have a quick look up behind us to see if that Birmingham boy is coming through. Oh, there he is. He snuck up on us. Let me just get into a better spot. I thought I heard footsteps behind me, Zander. Yeah, you didn't even hear a big male lion sneak up behind you. Okay. Let's have a look. There we go. There we go. So, there he is. We were sitting just down there and I thought I heard footsteps behind us. And he did manage to sneak up. But I'm going to try and get us into a position where we can see the cubs. I can actually hear them playing from here. So while we do that, let's go check in with the highly entertaining Commander Bond.
Ding 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 ding. Did it 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 did it. Sorry about that, everybody. Yeah, I've wanted to do that for so long, and now I have. Now I feel the emotion of happiness coursing through my being. Ah, lovely. There are some buffalo, and there's not much else to say about them because they are in some very, very thick bush. But I'm stopped here because we're on the boundary with Arathusa, and I did get an update from a chap from Elephant Plains. He drove past, and he stopped very kindly to give me an update on Karula and cubs. They have gone south into Hofmann's, which means we can't follow them because that is the reserve to the south of us. Also tracks of Tingana around here. Anderson Male didn't join them. I did ask him specifically, so he said there were some reports of Anderson Males, they think his tracks around here, but there could have been Tingana's tracks, they're not really sure. So the Anderson Male didn't join those two cubs, well, according to him, and he has been around at the kill. So that's quite interesting. I think it's, yeah, I'm not sure what happened there, but it's very nice to see an executive Mercedes-Benz driving past. Obviously a landowner going out. It's always so incongruous. I lost my train of thought. So, I mean, it would be unlikely, I think, because we don't know if Karula mated with the Anderson male during her estrus. It's possible, it's highly possible, but we did see her mating so often with Tingana that it's much more likely that she would avoid being around Anderson and stick around in Tingana's territory. Okay, let's move on. These buffalo are not coming out. I thought they might come out of these strychnos thickets, but they're not going to. So let's carry on and see what else we can see. I'm very pleased that those lions seem to be moving further into Vuyatela, so that's a good thing. Let's go and find out what they're doing now.
So we've managed to get into a good spot to view the wonderful little Nkuhuma cubs. So just behind this little cub here, the other cubs are feeding. Now, of course, being out in the African bush, it can be quite tough on the animals. And Brian is wondering how many of these cubs will actually survive. Well, normally they have about a 70% mortality rate. But I think it might be okay. So, I mean, there are 8 cubs, so under normal circumstances, maybe 3, 4 might survive. But at the moment, with the drought and it being a time of plenty for predators, there's also not many hyenas in this area where the cubs are at the moment, and also the fact that there's a nice big stable male lion coalition in the Birmingham boys. They probably have a slightly better chance. What you call aggressive feeding. Oh. I thought I heard another contact call. Could be the 5th female. Difficult to hear over all the noise the cubs are making. can see a slight snarl forming on Mom's lips. She might be getting tired of all the fighting. She is a beautiful female. The Nkuhumas are like the Hollywood movie stars out here, and I suppose the sticks are what we'd probably call the daytime soap opera lions. It's amazing how deep those little cub grounds are already. I'm going to try and move a little bit further forward.